Hey there, happy gardeners. I hope you're having a wonderful day. It is absolutely gorgeous here today, just outside of Petaluma. We're in Zone 9b, and today I want to talk about herbs. Now, herbs, first of all, is a hard word for me to say. I was raised in Ireland, and in Ireland, we keep that letter H right in front of the word, so we call them herbs. Every now and again, you're going to find me sneaking that H back in, but I'll do my best. I've lived in California 40 years now. I can be able to do this. I sure can. So here we go. We're talking about herbs today. Now, the world of herbs is a huge, vast world, so there's absolutely no way I can cover all of them. But what I want to do is touch on my favorite perennial herbs, touch on the favorite annual herbs that we can grow here in Zone 9b. And when we're talking about herbs, we're talking about a plant that is useful for culinary purposes, aromatic purposes, medicinal purposes, beauty purposes. They're really incredible group of plants, and almost every plant that we see around us is useful in some way and could be considered an herb. The leaves, the flowers, the seeds, the stems, the barks. I mean, we're going to walk through the garden here at Cottage. We're going to walk through my garden at home, and I'm going to show you everything that I use as an herb, starting with this gorgeous pineapple sage. Now, this is aromatic. It is stunning in the landscape. When it gets its red flowers, the hummingbirds love it. So there's a lot going for this plant, and I love it in a tea. It just makes the best tasting tea. It's a sage with this beautiful pineapple-y fragrance. So yeah, the world is huge of herbs. No way I can touch on all of it, but let's see what we can do. Okay, like without even walking anywhere, I can show you a couple of really great annual herbs. This is calendula, which is fabulous in salves and stuff like that. It's super easy to grow from seed or transplant. In among it, we've got some hyssop, some anise, which is wonderful, fabulous fragrance. We've got Johnny Jump Ups, which are also called Heart's Ease. Lovely little plant, great and tasty and eases your heart. Right here I've got lemon verbena, which I put in my tea. And this is all without me moving. And don't forget the pineapple sage back there. But let's walk a little bit further and I'll show you what else we have in the vegetable garden here at work. We just planted lovage, which is this fabulous herb that just adds this fresh taste to anything you put it in. I have some customers from the Czech Republic that just basically put it in absolutely everything. So this is why I've decided to grow it this year. And up front, we've got, oh, I got to show you this. This herb right here. It's called spilanthes. And when you see its little flower, it's also called eyeball plant. And what it does, it has an amazing flavor. It's great in tea. It's an annual herb around here in Zone 9b. It's also called the toothache plant because when you chew on it, it does this really great kind of numbing, fizzing feeling in your mouth. I can't even describe it, but if you come over to the vegetable garden here, make sure you taste some. It's going to just amaze you with this like burst of lemon, fizz, slightly numbing, slightly tingling, but totally delightful flavor. Great in teas, great if you have a toothache, fabulous little herb. Another absolutely fabulous annual herb here in Zone 9b is borage. It's got this great cucumbery flavor. It's really wonderful topping salads, just eating fresh in the garden. Self-seeds, grows absolutely everywhere. Once you plant it once, it just pops up in your garden everywhere, just like the calendula. Maybe we planted a calendula or two in there, but with the self-seeding, it's now adorning almost everywhere out here. In this pot right here, I've got 3-4 different types of basil. Oh my goodness, another thing about herbs, There's something about the stories, the reasons we've used them forever, the cultures that use them. You know, basil, when you think about basil, you straight away think about Italy and pesto and the best pizza you maybe ever had, ever. And it's all down to basil. When I think of oregano, I think of Greece. And the first time I tasted moussaka, I'm from Ireland. Moussaka is not a regular thing over there, nor is oregano, at least when I was a kid. They're way better now. But salt and pepper were pretty much it when I was a kid, all those many years ago. So my first taste of moussaka with the oregano in it, and I think there was basil too, oh my goodness, the memories herbs can evoke, the flavors, the tastes, and the beauty. Another thing about herbs is they look gorgeous in the landscape or in a container, and pollinators absolutely love them. So they are so much more useful than just for flavor. You've got the bees buzzing around the basil right now. You've got the beauty. You've got the aroma. And, oh my goodness, just imagine how you're going to enhance the dishes, the cooking that you're going to do, just by adding a little bit of basil. Barely going another foot over here, I've got pineapple mint and balsam. Now, balsam is used medicinally, and just like anything you ingest, do your homework, talk to your doctor if you've got medical conditions of any kind whatsoever, and do your homework before you use any herb or plant in a medicinal way. There are some people that can't take anything that has oxalic acid in it because it gives them kidney stones or something, but there are other people that can totally manage all these plants and herbs in medicinal ways, culinary ways, aromatic ways, and there's no problem whatsoever. But yeah, do your homework. Don't just eat the plants the way you're watching me do it right here. Okay, welcome to the herb section here at Cottage Gardens. You're going to find that in the veggie section. And today it starts with summer savory, and then there's lemon balm. And continuing with the tea theme, we got chamomile. Here's that toothache plant again. Balsam, hyssop, borage, shiso, comfrey. Do your research. Don't eat comfrey. It's great for medicinal purposes and wounds and whatnot, but don't eat it. Mint of all kind and oregano, all the way to fennel and parsley and all your normal stuff. But here's the thing. Grow the herbs that you use. Grow the herbs that you like. That really makes the most sense. What do you find yourself buying in the store? It is so expensive to get herbs in the store, and they're dried. They're not fresh and wonderful and straight from the garden. So yeah, come on in and find yourself a really great selection of herbs and plant yourself an herb garden. So you can see how great it is growing herbs out in the landscape. They're ornamental, they add to the beauty of your landscape, they make the pollinators happy, and they're just downright fabulous. But sometimes you need to grow them in a container. One of the reasons I like having herbs in containers at home is because they're handy. They're like right outside my kitchen on the deck, rather than having to tromp all the way up the hill in the dark in the middle of winter to go grab some sage or something. So yeah, sometimes it's just sheer laziness, but they're even gorgeous in containers. So today what I want to do is pot up a collection of salvia sages in a container for you, just to show you just how gorgeous they can be. Have a little herb garden in one of these lovely heart pots that we have here at Cottage. Now salvia is really fabulous for cooking reasons. They're great for making teas. They're just beautiful and aromatic. Adds to the whole pollinator happiness factor also. But I just love the beauty of them. And there's a lot more than the one regular sage that we're all used to that can be used for culinary purposes. This is your classic. This is Burr Garden. Look at the size of these beautiful leaves. Blue-green, felty. They smell amazing. So good in potato dishes, meat dishes, stuffings for the holidays. And just texturally, I find this one absolutely beautiful. And then you got variegated versions. And purple versions and more variegated versions, all of which are really great for culinary purposes, tea purposes, beauty purposes. So yeah, today I'm putting together a little salvia pot, a sage pot, culinary sage. This one here is new to me. This one is called Nazareth, pointy leaves, felty leaves, extremely aromatic, and it has very beautiful sky blue blooms when it starts blooming. So a lot of great characteristics to Nazareth, new to me. I'm super excited. I also brought my favorite thyme to just kind of be the ground cover here in the container. This is Highland cream, really pretty, also edible, also fragrant. So yeah, I'm putting together this little container of wonderful warm herbs. I'm going to start by getting my gloves on because that seems like the right thing to do. I know I'm going to be using my hands to plant this up. One thing that's really important if you're growing herbs together in a container is grow herbs that have similar growing requirements. Now these are all salvias, these are all sages, they all have similar growing requirements, which means good drainage. I've got a nice big hole in the bottom of this pot, plus the soil mix I'm using drains really, really well. It's halfway to being a cactus mix. I'm going to grow them all in full sun. The thyme that I'm using also likes that exact same thing. Sometimes you run into trouble when you're making a container full of herbs. If you're trying to grow tender little annuals that really would prefer to be in afternoon shade, and you're trying to grow them together with a full sun, good drainage sort of a plant. So I'm going to show you with a different, with a hanging basket for annual herbs a little bit later on, and we're going to group together plants that really have those requirements in common, that like a little bit of afternoon shade, more regular water, not so fussy about drainage. But yeah, all right, let's get going on this sage container, sage heart pot. Now when you're planting an herb, just like any other plant, what you want is to mess with the roots ever so slightly and make sure it really comes into contact with the soil that you're planting them in. Unpot carefully, break up the roots a tiny bit. Now sages are perennial herbs, so this is permanent. Probably in 6 months to a year, this container might be ever so slightly overcrowded, and I will deal with that when the time comes. I'll probably carefully unpot them and give each sage a pot all of its very own. Oh, I like this. I really like this. Okay, this is going to go in the middle. All right, so I'm going for beauty as well as function here. But play around. Whatever container you pick out, play around till it's pleasing to the eye, because I really am starting with the beauty of it. I want it to look pretty. It's going to adorn my back deck. It's going to be useful. I'm going to have all this sage out there ready for me to pick to put into teas. Sage makes an excellent after dinner tea. It's got very great properties to aid digestion, which is why it's such a good thing in stuffings and why it works so well with so many dishes. And I don't know if you've ever used it, just one simple sage leaf seared gently in olive oil, or seared quickly in olive oil. You don't sear gently. But there's something so wonderful just about that pure flavor of nothing but sage. Okay, I'm liking the way this looks. And I think all it needs now is my Highland cream thyme to complete the look. Now thyme also likes full sun, also likes good drainage. slightly more shallow rooted. And this variety is slightly fussier than other times, but it has this very nice ground covering creeping habit that is incredibly attractive. The leaves are a little smaller than the regular Culinary thyme, but absolutely delicious. The flowers are small, but the bees can find it. And there we go. So, like all plants, your sages appreciate being planted at the exact same level they were in the growing pot. Pack the soil in really well all around them. If there's any soil surface left, it's always a great idea to mulch. And that means you don't have to water them quite so much. But yeah, we were going for beauty here. I did not manage to sneak that little Nazareth sage in there. The look just didn't call for it, but I'll find a different container for that one. I might just plant that out in my garden, see how it does. Like I said, it's new to me. I like to really know about the growth habit of a plant before I highly recommend it, but I can tell you it tastes great. Looks really pretty in a 4-inch pot so far. So let's see what happens when I actually plant it in the landscape. Every other one of these sages I have used before, both in the landscape and in containers, and for culinary reasons, and medicinally too. Sage is really fabulous all around. So there we go. It's going to grow in together. The leaves are going to mingle a little bit. And yeah, I'm really happy with how this came out. All it needs is a little bit of water. I'll put it out in full sun. And I've got a beautiful container. So we've got some perennial herbs that are fabulous around here. Many perennial herbs that are fabulous around here because we do live in a Mediterranean climate that is amazing here in Zone 9b. Some of the best perennial herbs for our particular region here, Zone 9b, that really, really work well, both in my garden here at work and my garden at home and everywhere else in Northern California. You got rosemary, thyme, sages of all descriptions. You've got French tarragon, which does go dormant in the winter, but oh, it comes back so well every single year. Winter savory, summer savory, hyssop, lovage. I mean, there are so many great perennial herbs. We'll tour my garden in a minute, you'll see. But there's also the annual herbs, of which basil is one of my favorites. And today I'm going to plant up a hanging basket, again, so I can keep it real close to my kitchen, full of really wonderful basil varieties. I've got Genovese in the regular green. I've got purple Genoveses. I've got some Thai basil. I also have the one perennial basil around here, which is African blue basil. I may or may not include it in my hanging basket. I think it wants a little more sun than what I will be giving this particular one. So yeah, let's get going. Let's start by adding soil to my container, of course, because all plants like soil right around their roots. So we got soil. And now I'm going to make it pretty as usual. One of the things when you're growing herbs in a container is that you do want it to be pretty. It's going to be on my deck. It's going to be close by. So I want it to look good. So I'm going to be decorating. I'm going to put just sheer prettiness, a lovely little Johnny jump up, because I can picture it trailing off the edges. So I'm going to kind of cram them in a little bit here because I'm going for instant. And I'm going for a hanging basket for a couple of reasons, because I really, really like hanging baskets on my back deck. It needs another one. I have a couple. Definitely needs another one. My tomatoes are about to ripen up really nicely, so I'm going to need basil frequently. Not just for pesto, but those caprese salads, I cannot wait. I love them. I've got tucked a little Thai basil in there too that is going to be just wonderful in the tom kha gai that I like to make. Something else I'm going to put in, it is not basil, but it likes the same growing conditions as basil, is shiso. If you haven't tried shiso, just try it. It's got the best flavor. It's like a mix between mint and basil and even a little touch of anise. And honestly, it goes so well in so many different things. Incredibly popular in Japanese cuisine, but you know, we're not all eating sushi every day of the week. It is really good in salads. It's just a great plant, and it's pretty. And when it flowers, the bees love it. So it's got a lot going for it too. And like I said, very similar growing conditions to basil. Likes what basil likes. So it's going to be very happy all in the one hanging basket. And like I said, I'm going to cram them in. So we haven't talked about herbs and fertilization yet. So what you're going for in an herb is intensity of flavor. So it's better not to over-fertilize. Definitely don't use too much nitrogen. You don't want it to be mild in flavor. You don't want a mild flavored basil. You don't want mild thyme or mild sage. You're going for intensity. Now the exception being, you know, for your perennial herbs, they might like a little bit of a compost side dressing in the fall, another one in the spring. And the other exception being if you're growing a bunch of annual herbs in a container, and the container is just this big, and I've got like 6 plants crammed in here so far, it's going to be a really good idea to give it a dilute fertilization every couple of weeks. I would go well balanced rather than high nitrogen, even though leaves are really what I'm going for here, but I want intensity of flavor, not bland. All right, I'm getting there. It's getting prettier by the second. And it's going to fill in so nicely and be so pretty and be right outside my kitchen window. Anytime I need basil, you just go out there and I'll pick it. And I will just be so happy. Okay, there we go. So basil and shiso and Johnny jump ups all like similar growing conditions. They like regular enough water. They like enough sun, but they can all tolerate a little bit of shade. You don't want to drown them, any of the plants in here, because they can get mildew problems. So just like any container grown vegetable or plant, get to know the container, get to know where you're actually growing it, and you will very quickly find out exactly what that container filled with basil actually needs. So where I'm going to put it, it gets a lot of morning sun, and then the sun disappears for a couple of hours, you know, from 1 to 3:30 or something like that, and then sun shines on it again. I think these plants are going to be really, really happy. But I will certainly let you know. Here it is, freshly planted. I can't wait to hang it up. But yeah, this is my basil hanging basket. Perfect place to put my basil is right outside my kitchen window, and that's where it's going to go. Okay, I'm home again. Let's start with the herbs that I've got in containers on my back deck because I use them frequently. Obviously not frequently enough in the case of this cilantro because here it is all going to seed already. But it's so handy growing herbs in containers close to your kitchen. My kitchen is literally right there. When I need something, I just pop out here, pick a sprig of it, go right back in again. So here is my new sage pot. The sun's going to hit it in a minute. It's going to get it for 5 whole hours. It's going to be thrilled to bits. Over here I've got mint. Mint is always best in a container. It's going to run rampant in your garden if you just let it grow anywhere. But also I use it quite frequently, so there it is. In here I've got sage and thyme growing together again because as you know, it grows really well together. And basil is great to do a succession planting of. I planted the first basil probably a month or two ago, a couple of really fine-leafed varieties. And basil plays well with parsley. Here's a third variety of basil right there. Also plays well with dill, which is also going to seed. So there we go. There's these containers, but let me show you what I did with my basil hanging basket. And here's the basil hanging basket. Could not get closer to my kitchen. It is literally right there. And I can't wait for it to fill in, fluff out, for the Johnny Jump Ups to do a little spilling. But I think it's gorgeous already. And oh my goodness, the fragrance of this basil is absolutely amazing. So one of the keys to herbs is to pick frequently, pick often, keep this basil branchy, producing more leaves, because that is what we're going to go for. And even if you don't need all the basil right away, it freezes up really, really well. It also makes great infusions in olive oil or vinegar. Really, honestly, you can't have too much basil. Remember too, I've got the shiso tucked in here, and pretty much everything I said about basil also goes for shiso. Okay, so let's take a little trip through my garden and I'll show you what herbs I've got out in my landscape. All right, so herbs in the landscape. I stopped here because lavender is an herb. And oh my goodness, I cannot say enough good things about Munstead. And talk about pollinator friendly. Herbs, when they flower, bring pollinators to your garden. You just look in here and I can't even count them. There are so many bees. And alongside the lavender, I've got thyme, another absolutely fabulous landscape plant. Remember earlier I mentioned how it's much better to grow mint in a container than in the landscape. I am still dealing with mint popping up here, there, and everywhere. And this mint was planted probably 20 years ago. It is so resilient, so happy to grow absolutely everywhere that it's literally growing between the cracks of the patio here. But it does taste great. It's just somewhat invasive. So plant mint in a container, whatever you do. Over here, I've got rosemary. And rosemary reminds me to remind you that when you're growing herbs, you might be buying a little 4-inch pot of rosemary or thyme or whatever, and you somehow, we all do this, think it's really not going to grow that big. Well, look at this rosemary. It has got to be 6 feet tall, 8 feet wide. So pay attention to its ultimate size. Pay attention to what it likes. Full sun, good drainage in the case of rosemary, lots of space. Obviously, it's doing fine, making its way, but for best success, give it the space it needs. But yeah, I love this rosemary plant. It is so beautiful, so fragrant, so happy. It's in a spot where it doesn't get a ton of water, and the drainage is excellent, and it gets sun for at least 6 hours a day. Very, very happy plant. Let's talk about lemon verbena for a minute. I love this plant. It's probably 10 or 12 years old, loses its leaves every single year. I always think it's dead. It's never dead. But it does prefer some afternoon shade, it turns out. Now this oak tree grew up and over it, and what that's doing is it does protect it. It lets it keep going, does protect it from any frost damage, but it still loses its leaves every year. However, it produces so many leaves for me all the time, tastes great in this tea that I make, and I think it's a very attractive little shrub anyway, and the flowers, pollinators love it. This brings me to Nepeta cattaria, or catnip. This is another one of those invasive plants, but it does like its water. So right down here is where my irrigation system is. There's quite often a little bit of a leak down here, so it is thriving here and here only. Catnip is a fabulous plant, not just for cats. It's really good in teas. It's very calming. Kind of does the opposite to us humans as it does to cats. Cats get very excited about it, but it makes a really great bedtime tea. And basically you just steep the leaves in boiling water for 10 to 15 minutes, depending on the intensity of flavor that you're going for. And it's a great way to go to sleep at night. Something else I quite often add to bedtime teas when my hops are blooming, or you have those little hops. Hops are great for helping you get to sleep too. Chamomile also, so you can make this great blend. It's really fabulous. Plus the texture is wonderful. I really like this plant. Okay. And here we have fennel. Now this fennel is pretty much a perennial here in Zone 9b. I just love the anise taste of fennel. It's so great adding it to salads. Really good for your digestive system too, which is why I let it go to flower and go to seed. Those fennel seeds are so good for your stomach. But as you can see, it also brings pollinators to the garden. Talk about a multi-functioning plant. One more thing I like to use it for is in flower arrangements. Really nice little addition of that airy, structured, pretty look. So yeah, fennel is a great addition to the herb garden. And oregano. No garden is complete without some oregano. It is an amazing perennial herb that pretty much takes care of itself and is completely indispensable when it comes to pizzas, moussakas, all those beautiful, wonderful Mediterranean dishes that we absolutely love. And as you can see, when it flowers, again, pollinators just love it. Hey, so I'm about to head out to work, and every morning on my way to work, I love to make a cup of tea. What I really like is an herbal tea, a mix of rosemary, mint, and lemon verbena. So let's go pick those herbs. All right, let's start with rosemary. I just need about a tablespoon for my tea. Now for a little bit of lemon verbena, pretty much the same amount. You want to go for about a tablespoon. I think I'll decorate with a little sprig of lavender today. It's going to be so pretty. The third ingredient in my favorite tea to go to work with is mint. Now mint needs to be grown in a container, and I keep it close on the back deck of my house because I use mint quite a bit. So for my tea, I need about a tablespoon of mint, and this morning I'm choosing some orange mint. So there we go. Got all my ingredients. Next, boil up a kettle of water. Chop up those herbs, or tear. I actually like tearing better. Pop them in the teapot. Pour the water over them. About 2 cups of water for that amount of herbs. And steep for 10 minutes. Pour. Strain if you want to. Garnish with a little bit of lemon. My sprig of lavender. And I am ready to go. It is so good. So thank you for joining me on this little journey through the world of herbs. No way can I cover all of it, but I did cover quite a bit, I think. Hopefully enough to get you all enthusiastic to get out there and start growing your own herb garden or really enjoying the plants that you have in your garden. One thing I really love, I love having different herbs in different parts of my garden because part of what I do is wander through and pick edibles. I consider my garden a foraging garden. You walk 10, 15 feet, there is something useful, something that you can put in a salve or a soap or a tea or on your dinner. And it just makes me so, so happy that I want to share that happiness and encourage you to go out and do the exact same thing. Like I said, I've got a lot in the landscape, but I keep my handiest, most often used herbs in containers on the deck. So I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you get inspired to go out and get yourself a great container, pop your favorite herbs in there, enjoy the world of herbs, come to Cottage, grab yourself a couple of unusual herbs that maybe you've never heard about, and yeah, thank you for watching this video. Get outside and garden. My goodness, we live in an amazing place here. We can do so much, even in the smallest of spaces, even on a balcony. You can have an herb garden. So, happy gardening.